Okay, a couple thoughts on last week real quick. Again, just really proud of how the guys responded to a very difficult situation. We knew it was going to be challenging. We went in, obviously couldn't prepare for the weather, but we didn't talk about it. We didn't make it. We didn't use it as an excuse. Went in, played a team that really wanted to win. Which in the end I think we wanted to win a little bit more, but they really wanted to win. It was a challenging situation. Good team on the road. Was down at halftime. We had a chance to quit as a team. We had a chance to quit, and we didn't. There's a lot of things that we overcame, and the fact that we ended up winning the game says a lot about the character of our football team. So back to work this week. Got another challenge. Like we all know, every week in the Big East is challenging, and Louisville's coming to town off a 2-game win streak. They've done something in the last 2 weeks that we haven't done this year. They've beat Louisville, or they beat Syracuse and Rutgers, which is two pretty good teams, So they come in here ready to go. They're big, they're physical, they're talented, they're athletic, and they're going to come in right there in the thick of things in the Big East and expect to win. Got questions?
Do you buy into the idea of momentum? You mentioned that they're coming off 2 big wins. I mean, is it week to week? Does that carry over? Or do you think every week's independent of each other?
To be honest, I think every week's independent. You can, if anybody should have some momentum right now, we should. Based on coming back home, based on overcoming the adversity that we overcame last week. We got a lot. We got everything out there in front of us. And we're 6-2, and got a chance to finish strong. So does that give us an advantage? I doubt it. You got to line up and you got to play every week. And one of the things that we learned over the last 2 weeks was you better play with effort for all 4 quarters, and regardless of what the score is, you better keep playing for 4 quarters. And that can't ever change, especially when there's as much parity as there is in this league. It doesn't matter who it is, they can get you. So you better be ready to go out every week.
Danny, you said something yesterday about something frightening about young teams. I think frightening, but was that they get better, young guys. It makes sense, but on what level, especially this late in the season, does that concern you when you see a team maybe peaking like these guys are?
Yeah, it is. We got some young guys too that we expect to keep getting better. But they play a lot more freshmen than we do. I think they start 4 true freshmen on defense, and they start 2 true freshmen on offense. I think 3 total, but about 5 or 6 play. So and those are all key guys from a quarterback to who he's throwing to, which is developing more and more timing, than they had earlier in the year. So they're a deeper football team than we are. They play more people, which due to the fact that they're young and they're playing a lot, they're probably going to get better.
Coach, what kind of advantage does the team get from having a veteran quarterback taking the snaps, especially in the tight games going down the stretch?
It should matter. It should. And I think Gino, had some poise last week in the 4th quarter. I got on him in the 3rd pretty good. We went out there and had field position. We wanted to make sure that we were kicking with the wind. To gain field position if possible. And defense went out there and 3 and out of them 3 times in a row, and it took us 3 series before we did anything. And so I got on him, and I was pretty hard on him in the 3rd quarter, and then we turned around in the 4th quarter, and we had a big quarter and we finished strong. A lot of guys in that situation, I say our team in general, but a quarterback in general, without having that kind of composure, probably would have possibly shut it down. We may not have been able to get the job done.
Would you like to go to 4 turnovers to 1?
Yeah, I'd say that. I'd pay for that. I'd pay a lot of money to have that. Well, it was the difference in the game. I mean, you look at how that game went. Footing was terrible. People were slipping offensively, slipping defensively. I mean, the game slowed down. Okay, and didn't give us an advantage, or it didn't give them an advantage, but it made the handling of the ball extremely hard. And for Gino to complete 66, 67% of his passes, you know, and only have 1 turnover compared to them. I don't know what their completion percentage was. It was less than that. But have 4 turnovers, it's the difference in the game. You know, that, and when we punted, we were able to, you know, execute the snap, execute the punt, and flip the field position. There was a lot of possessions because nobody could sustain anything, you know, but due to the fact that we just didn't give them and them have good field position was the difference in the game.
Now, you've mentioned a few times this year a lack of depth. You kind of got left lacking full complement of scholarships. Has that bothered you this year? I mean, the fact that you haven't filled out the entire roster.
Yeah, it's a combination of. I made reference to it last week. You know, part of it's recruiting. You know, and part of it's making sure that you have exactly what you want in the room that you're coaching. You know, so you know that's recruiting. You know, and then in addition to that, it's making sure that you make good decisions. It's making sure that you keep them academically eligible and you keep them accountable for what's expected of them both on the field and off the field. But then in addition to that, yeah, I mean, you got to make sure that you sign a full class, which, you know, a lot of our efforts right now is making sure we sign enough kids to be able to bring in here at midterm to where we don't lose the initial scholarships. You know, once you lose them, they're gone. You can't use them. I mean, we can't. Whatever's available at midterm, we better use them, because then in February you only get 25. You can't sign 40. You can only sign 25. You know, so last year I think we signed 18 or 19 in February. So that means if you got 6 or 7, where you better get them done by midterm. If you don't, you lose them. And due to the fact that you only get 25 a year, you better take full advantage of that if you want to fill a full roster.
You weren't running the show then, but do you know any reason why they didn't take the other 6 or 7 scholarships?
Well, in recruiting, I mean, you can identify people, but that doesn't mean that you're going to get them. You know, I mean, part of it's identifying them, and then it's recruiting them, and then it's sealing the deal on them, right? So it's a combination of a whole bunch of things that we're working pretty tirelessly around here to make sure that we get, 1, the type of kid that we want, and 2, we get them, you know, and to the point where we get them when we need to get them.
So with that said, how many kids would you like to bring in January of the semester?
I'd like to bring about 20 in, if we could. I mean, it makes spring practice a heck of a lot easier. You know, when you're less than 2 deep, you know, which our walk-on program's getting better. We got a lot of numbers right now, which will help us in spring as far as fielding, you know, a team. Which you can't be just 2 deep. You got to be 3 or 4 deep, you know, because you get people hurt. You got to keep plugging people in and maturing them. And you know, whoever's running our scout teams right now, you want to move a couple of those guys up to, you know, to actual players, and then the rest of them, you don't want just a whole new bunch of people to come in and retrain them. So you want some carryover. You know, it gets to a point where it's unrealistic to bring in more than like 6. Not to say it couldn't happen, but it's hard.
Louisville's been a team that hasn't given up more than 25 points this season. What is it defensively they do that's made them so successful?
Well, it starts with coaching. They're well coached now. I mean, you know, Charlie Strong's been as well respected defensive coordinator as there's been in the profession for the last 2 decades. You know, I mean, the guy's won 2 national championships and been a part of some good programs. Being the defense coordinator, I mean, that tells you something. You know, and then you know, just getting guys. You know, they've done a good job recruiting. They play a lot of people. They're pretty much, you know, 2 deep at each position, and a lot of those guys play. You know, so they got a bunch of competition that is making them better as well. Scheme's good, play hard, got good players.
On the other side of that, I mean, offensively they haven't been really lighting it up. Looking at the Big East rankings, they don't have a running back in the top rankings. They don't have a receiver in the top rankings. Their quarterback's ranked 8th. What worries you about their offense, or what do you guys see out of their offense and what they're able to do?
They're getting better. You know, I mean, they've made some changes, and you know, again, it goes back to young guys. I mean, they were playing a bunch of different people early, and then didn't have as much success as they wanted, so they made some changes. You know, and since they've done that, I think they've been a little bit more efficient. You know, they may have not been putting up big numbers or big points, but it looks to me like they're more efficient. You know, and again, when you play that many young kids, you know, and inexperience as well. You know, up front they got their center back. say we're not very experienced with our O-line. Well, you know, we got more than one guy back. So they got one guy back up front, which those guys are learning to play with, you know, to play with each other. And then in addition to that, a bunch of skill kids who look talented to me, just not on the same page yet.
Coach, are you looking for Alston to get significant carries again this week against Louisville, or is that mostly last week because of the conditions you guys are playing?
We got something going in every week, you know, for him to touch the ball that without, you know, going through our reads and throwing it to him. I mean, there's something in every week that we can get him the ball, whether it's there or not, is a whole other story. You know, it's just coaching, and due to the fact that a lot of teams are doing things that makes it hard to prepare for, you can't pinpoint what they're going to do in specific situations, and it makes, you know, in-game adjustments, you know, important. It makes the quarterback making sure it's there before he pulls the trigger on it, you know, which it was there, and Gino pulled the trigger on it and worked out good last week. We want the ball in his hands, but we're not going to force it.
Does that open the offense up a little bit more that he can play both the A back and then the B back too?
Yeah, he never played that. He hasn't lined up at running back. You know, he has once or twice, but it was in some tempo situations. He's a receiver. He's not lining up at back. You talking about Tavon?
No, I'm talking about Sean.
Oh,
Sean? Being the B back and being the
Are you talking about Sean or Tavon?
I was talking about Sean.
Oh, well, you should have told me. I answered that with Tavon.
I'm sorry.
Okay, Sean's been getting there. We've been getting him touches. He's been getting more healthy, you know, to where, yeah, it makes it easier to have another guy that can play a lot of different positions. I mean, he can be the main back, but then he can be the fullback, lead back guy as well because he's a physical guy. So having guys like him that can play more than one position is definitely, I mean, it's definitely a good thing. And then, yeah, we'll keep trying to get him the ball as long as when he runs it, he keeps going forward.
How big a difference has Molinari made for you guys, especially in field position?
Huge. Yeah, huge. Again, it starts with the snap, which one of the most underrated guys on our team is Cody Benner. I mean, he's a senior, and he's been perfect on his snaps for, 8 games, both in PAT field goal situations and punts. So it starts with him, and then Molinari's done a great job of identifying when they're coming, when they're not coming, and gauging it as far as how much time he's got and pinning it inside the 10 and getting it downfield, getting it off and getting it downfield. It's been huge.
Were Nutter snaps that good last week? That's why he's.
Yeah.
Do you?
Which again, it goes back to, the handling of the ball.
Yeah.
Was challenging last week, and he did a great job.
When you kind of look at this team and how they approached the Syracuse game, and obviously things didn't go well, and you guys talked about the mental part of the game, did you sense a different kind of feeling going into last week, and is it there again this week?
Yeah, probably a little bit. When you're backed up, you tend to, respond with a little more, energy. Which I thought the preparation was better, the effort was better. I thought we were excited to play going into Syracuse. Now, the biggest thing was, and our preparation was fine, but the biggest thing was when we got smacked, we didn't respond. And last week, there was lots of opportunities just to shut it down, from, it's too cold to they're winning by 10 to, this is not working out the way we wanted to and all the rest, and we responded better within the game. So, I anticipate our preparation this week will be fine. And again, it's about continuing to mature as a team and play well together and pick each other up and, have more energy and excitement than the other team. And then when things get bad, having the ability to step up and